Hi everybody, welcome back to Ox Talks. It's Thursday, November the 16th, 2023. I guess we're 1 week away from the Thanksgiving weekend. If you're enjoying the videos, number one, I appreciate you being here and watching. Number two, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, and also share the videos with family and friends. I'm trying every day to share these crucial issues and topics that are affecting all of us, and those in our family and of our family and friends that are a little more reticent or delaying or asleep at the wheel. We need to keep nudging them. We need to do our best to, make them as aware as possible as we enter the coming next chapter of this economy that we see unfolding. A lot of news today, but the stories that stuck out to me had to do with the unemployment rate and the continuing jobless claims. I've got a couple articles to address on that. There was a warning from Walmart, the world's biggest retailer. I'll touch on that briefly. And then lastly, I saw an interview earlier came out with Loretta Mester, who is a member of the Fed. She's not a voting member. She will be in 2024, but she is not on the train of stopping the raising of the rates, and certainly not out there saying that the Fed is going to be reversing course anytime soon. So we'll share that briefly at the end. So again, thanks for being here. The first article was out of Zero Hedge this morning, and this is a big thing because unemployment is it's on the rise. It's going to continue to be on the rise. We're hearing every day about major companies having substantial layoffs, and things normally during the holidays will tick up. You'll see a bit of a hiring during the holidays to cover seasonal. It's not happening this year. So we need to keep a close watch on this because the unemployment rate will creep up throughout this country next year, and it's going to get really, really ugly from my perspective. So this article says the number of Americans filing for jobless benefits for the first time last week jumped to 231,000 people or claims. That's from an upwardly revised 218,000 and up to its highest since August. That means that people don't have a job. They are applying to get benefits to pay their bills, to feed their family, while presumably they look for a job. This says, though, worse still, continuing claims keeps rising to 1.864 million, the highest since November of 2021. So that means that there's an increase in number of people that are finding themselves without a job, but there's also a drastic rise, an ongoing, consistent rise in those that cannot find work, that are having to continue applying for the jobless benefits. How do you interpret that? Does that mean there are fewer jobs out there that they can obtain? I suppose that's one really plausible explanation, but the rate is going in the wrong direction. The number of claims are going in the wrong direction. It says, and it's going to get worse, as Goldman reminds us that ongoing seasonal distortions have increasingly weighed on the level of continuing claims over the last 6 months. And it says we now expect that the reversal of those distortions could exert a cumulative boost of 375,000 to the level of continuing claims between now and March. That's a huge number. That means the continuing claims are going to continue to rise into the first quarter of next year. That means we have more unemployed, folks. The next article is also out of Zero Hedge, and it says employment is sending signals. Is it either sending signals of recession or normalization? And there was just one key part of the article I wanted to share with you that I thought was very, very important. And it says, in April, the unemployment rate stood at 3.4%, the lowest in over 50 years. Since then, it has slowly turned higher, standing today at 3.9%. So that rate is growing. It's not decreasing. That means there are more unemployed looking for work, and in the meantime, filing for unemployment benefits. It says the unemployment rate always turns up as a recession gets underway. Therefore, we need to pay attention as there have been no instances, listen to this, since 1948, when the unemployment rate rose by 0.5% and the economy was not in a recession or entering one within months. It says to help us better track the unemployment rate, we can combine the SAM rule and a chart from one of our clients. So the SAM rule, it says there's an economic rule of thumb called the SAM, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, rule, which has a 100% track record predicting recessions. It says the rule's premise states that if the 3-month moving average of the unemployment rate increases by 0.5% or 0.5% above the 12-month unemployment low, a recession is not only likely, but has probably already started. The Bloomberg graph shows the current SAM measure alert has not yet been triggered. However, last Friday, the BLS reported the unemployment rate rose to 3.9% from a low of 3.4% in April, while the difference is plus 5.5%. The SAM rule uses the 3-month moving average, which is 3.83%. A reading of 4% or higher in the next month's unemployment rate would trigger the alert, as would 2 consecutive months of 3.9%. So what's the takeaway there? The takeaway is we're getting closer to triggering, the unemployment rate hitting certain levels that it's going to mean recession. Now, I think all of you would agree we're already there. Look around you. I see a lot of suffering, a lot of unhappiness right now, a lot of general discontent, a lot of people angry, just driving around. There's a lot more aggression. That is coming from something. And it's not coming from lower food prices or lower gas prices or plentiful jobs out there, okay? Let's shift gears to the Walmart story. First off, Walmart stock today was down 8%. That's pretty sizable. And this article out of the Hedge this morning says Walmart crashes on disappointing guidance, warns that consumer spending has deteriorated. And look at this, feeds right in line with the unemployment rate, the continuing jobless claims rate. It's all part and parcel. People that don't have a job can't afford to go even into a Walmart and buy discount type items. They just don't have the wherewithal to do it. The article says the world's largest retailer, Walmart, reported earnings that generally beat on revenue and earnings. It says the increase in Walmart's comparable store sales was notable because both Target and Home Depot reported declines in that metric this week as consumers continued to pull back from discretionary purchases. So you say, well, look at if Walmart reported earnings that beat on revenue and their top and their bottom line, then why did the stock fall 8%? Well, here's why. It says what the market threw up all over was the company's disappointing guidance, which was raised but still failed to meet consensus estimates, as well as its cautious tone about the outlook for U.S. shoppers after signs of weakness at the end of October. And the Walmart CFO, John Rainey, came out and said, quote, there was a sharp fall off in sales during the last 2 weeks of October. We are more cautious, he said, on the consumer than we were 90 days ago at this time. Separately, the company warned that general merchandise sales reflected softness in discretionary categories, including apparel, home, and toys, categories which some had expected would show a rebound. So there's no rebound, there's no recovery, the consumers aren't doing better, they're doing worse. The employment opportunities are not doing better, they're doing worse. The jobless claims are rising. And just this afternoon, I was just having a bite to eat. I happened to pull up CNBC and saw an article that was posted just about 2 hours ago And it says, Fed's Mester wants much more evidence that inflation has been defeated. It says, Cleveland Federal Reserve President Loretta Mester said, this week's news showing lower levels of inflation isn't enough to convince her that the central bank has won its battle against higher prices. Now, and it says, she said, we're going to have to see much more evidence that inflation is on that timely path back to 2%. But we do have really good evidence that it's made some progress, and now it is simply just continuing. Now, I'm not a Fed expert, but I believe that Loretta Mester is not a voting member of the FOMC committee. She's going to be a voting member, I believe, starting in 2024. So she's going to be involved in this. And here's what she says, the big takeaway for me. She says, my feeling is that it's really, because they were asking her about whether or not there was going to be a shift in Fed policy, maybe even to one of not only pausing, but cutting rates. And her response was, my feeling is that it's really not about cutting rates. It's really about how long do we stay in a restrictive stance and perhaps have to go higher given what happens in the economy, she said. So she's one that we have to pay attention to. I think that this goes back to the theme of the week. The market rallied big time for a couple of days. It's since tapered off that rally. And you know, the reality may be setting in when you're hearing comments like this from a Fed member that there may very well likely not be a consensus, folks, to reverse course on the rates, and maybe not even to pause. So I think it's the party is premature on that, and we will wait and see. So today I spent most of the day drafting a lawsuit. It's a real estate dispute, and it's tied with an injunctive relief cause of action, which means that once we file a lawsuit, we can also, on a law in motion matter, go in before the judge and ask the court to issue a temporary restraining order in some cases, and then also ask for a preliminary injunction to be issued prohibiting a defendant from taking certain actions. And in this case, I represent a real estate person who is a joint venture partner in another joint venture, or in a joint venture arrangement, and there's the dispute over a piece of real property. So anyway, it's time consuming. It's drafting the lawsuit, and then it's drafting basically two separate motions, requests for the court that involve two separate court hearings, one for issuance of a temporary restraining order and the other for issuance of an injunction, where the court again forces a party or orders a party not to do certain things while the lawsuit is pending. They're hard to get. The burden of proof on getting injunctive relief, in California, you have to show a likelihood of prevailing on the merits of the complaint at trial. So usually we submit, in addition to the lawsuit, we submit declarations in support of the request, usually supporting documentation, things like that. And we ask the court to make the rulings and issue the orders. So see how this one comes out. I probably won't have it all ready to go until first part of next week. It's a whole lot of hours. Anyway, that's today's news. The unemployment situation is something that needs to be at the forefront of all of our minds, and to see how this unfolds through the holiday and to the first quarter of next year. Please, all of you, get your exercise in today. Here in Southern California, we got some pretty good rain last night, but it's cleared up now, so the weather's perfect to go outside for a walk or hit the gym for your workout. Get your steps in. Please do some strength training, sit-ups, push-ups, things of that nature. You can do them wherever you're at. You don't need to have a gym. You don't need to pay for a gym membership to do those things. So no excuses. Keep your water intake going right about 14 minutes right now, which is my sweet spot. Hope you've enjoyed the content. The last few days have been slow. I don't know if it's been across the board with other channels, or if it's my rambling style. But in any event, appreciate you being here. Have a good night. Bye.